Good morning and welcome to TalkSports. It is our weekly sports program, our Saturday sports special, where we speak with the movers and shakers in sports, sportsmen, sportswomen, sports administrators, coaches, just about everyone involved in sports. Well, as indicated, our program this weekend particularly will deal with the upcoming CARICOM Road Races. Very important road races held every year, coordinated by the CARICOM Secretariat. But of significance this year will be the races being held in Grenada, which basically kind of coincide with the heads meeting taking place in Grenada sometime next week as well. And it is also significant because, as you know, Grenada is marking its 50th year of independence this year, and CARICOM is wrapping up its 50th anniversary. So, quite a bit taking place. And certainly we want to talk about that. So we have, I should say, invited, great to have our folks from the CARICOM Secretariat, Mr. Davion Leslie, sorry, who will join us to talk about the significance, as we'll say, of these races for regional sports in particular, and what the folks can expect. Mr. Leslie is the program manager for human resource development at the CARICOM Secretariat. Mr. Kerlon Peters, the sports coordinator in Grenada, will also join us, and of course, my co-host Rudian Sylvan in Toronto is also there to join as well. Let me say good morning to both Mr. Leslie and to Sylvan. Mr. Leslie, good morning to you, and I hope everything is okay on your side.
Yes, indeed. All is well on my side. How
Right.
how are you doing? How are things
Yes.
going in Grenada?
Well, I'm actually in New York at this time, and so, yes, I'm also in New York. Uh, so you see how technology actually works, right? Because you are you're in the CARICOM Secretariat. You operate from the
I'm in Guyana.
right in Guyana, CARICOM Secretariat in Georgetown. My co-host is in Toronto. I'm in New York, and Mr. Kerlon Peters is in Grenada. So
Yes, indeed.
yeah, I assume that's how CARICOM functions as well, right?
Oh yeah, that is absolutely not just how CARICOM functions, but that's a model of the world that we're in now,
Certainly.
and more, that is the reality that we're going to be seeing and experiencing as we move forward. Virtual stuff. I tell
Mm.
people all the time that what COVID did was to force us in a direction that we really ought to have found on our own. And having gotten to this point, there's no turning back. Virtual is where everything is, you know?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, yeah, nice to hear that. And Rudian over in Toronto.
Yeah, certainly, Mr. Leslie, it's a pleasure to have you with us this morning. And certainly, before flying cars, we had virtual, right? So, yeah, so definitely, that's the way of the world today in terms of the social media platform. But certainly, but Toronto is a rainy day. We have been getting rain from the wee hours of the morning, and I believe it's going until about midday. So that's what it is in this part of the world. It's rain, 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 and more rain. So, and it's coming very heavy, very heavy. So, so
Uh,
well, I guess it's good for the trees and it's good for the birds, but
Oh
certainly,
yeah,
okay,
indeed.
right.
Indeed, indeed.
So of significance, Mr. Leslie, and thanks for joining us. We want to talk a bit about the CARICOM road races, and we say road races because there are a number of races. Well, we have the elite, we have the open, and we even have those. Is it for the? I think for the. Is it for the amateurs, as we call it? Yeah, the amateur. So the elite 10K, the open 10K, and the youth as well,
Right.
getting into the action. So let's talk about the significance of these races. Why CARICOM will have these races, and particularly road races, because that used to be something um, very common in the Caribbean years gone by. I can say that, especially for Grenada and other Caribbean. But it seems as if everyone is involved now in sprinting.
Uh,
Everyone wants to be a sprinter. Everybody wants to be on the track. but
Right.
road racing. So why road racing?
Mhm. Well, the races started in 2005. So we have been having these road races since 2005. And they were first held in 2005 to commemorate the United Nations International Year of Sport and Physical Education. And we have not looked back since. We have had 17 years, well, 16 years of these road races. And this year in Grenada will be the 17th year. So we're particularly excited about this year, as you said, because it coincides with the celebration of Grenada's 50th anniversary. One people, one journey, one future. And if ever a theme encapsulates what we hope the regional movement should be about, then certainly this theme does. This theme does. So the races are important to us because we at the Secretariat, in keeping with the entire world has been shifting in recent times, is particularly keen on promoting human resource development and making sure that our human resources across the Caribbean are in are kept in optimum condition. A major part of this, as you would imagine, Michael, is making sure that we promote health and wellness as a part of how we see our Caribbean citizens. And so these races are really meant to promote health and wellness and to ensure that our population across the Caribbean realize the importance of just physical movement, um, physical activity, paying attention to your health, making sure that you're physically and mentally well. And so we use these road races to promote that. Of course, the athletes get a chance to also add this to their race calendar. It provides the athletes, especially those who are into road racing, to make this a part of their training exercise, their competitive exercise, as they prepare for other events throughout the year. And so we are very excited, as always, to have these races. As you said, the races this year are going to be held in Grenada, and all the races coincide with the heads of government conference, which takes place at around this period each year in different countries. And so this year, Grenada is hosting the conference. And as a result of hosting the conference, the Prime Minister of Grenada has so kindly also agreed that he will host these races in Grenada.
Oh, okay. Right, and that's an important aspect of it as well, because something like that, they will have the logistical part of it, you know, especially for the elite athletes, getting them into the island, because previously it just used to be the CARICOM road race, male and female hosts in the island, but now you have the various segments, which is the elite, the open, and even the youth. Let's talk about,
Right.
first of all, the elite aspect of it.
Right. So the races are meant to ensure that, as I said before, the athletes across the Caribbean who are professional athletes who are into road racing, many of them compete on the international circuit, that we provide a space for them to to practice within the Caribbean condition and to showcase their skills and to compete among their Caribbean colleagues. And so the elite athletes are those athletes who are sponsored by their countries to come to Grenada and to participate in the race. Each country is invited to identify each CARICOM member state or associate member, and there are 20 of them, as you know, including Grenada. Each country is invited to identify one male, one female athlete from within their country and to sponsor that athlete along with a small delegation, maybe a coach or somebody to accompany them to participate in the road races. We refer to those athletes as the elite athletes because in many cases, if not in all cases, these athletes are professional athletes who have made running 10K a career. They are competing internationally, professionally, and are using this as their livelihood in many cases, or certainly they are using this as a part of how they 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 um they build up their career. And so these elite athletes are sponsored by their countries to come to Grenada and to participate in the race. And so we have been getting our Caribbean member states to identify their athletes, and certainly within this week, they will begin arriving in Grenada to participate in the road races on Saturday morning. That's the
Okay.
6th of July.
Right, Saturday morning. Mr. Kerlon Peters has also joined us. Kerlon is the coordinator of sports in Grenada, and certainly someone you may have been having some level of contact with in terms of coordinating. Good morning to you, Kerlon.
Hi, good morning to you, Bascom. Good morning to everyone. Morning to you viewers. And as Julian said, it's a rainy morning here. Outside overcast, but we are keeping warm and a lot of activities today.
Right.
But we are
Hope,
good.
hopefully, come next weekend, which is the
Saturday the 6th.
yeah, the 6th
Yeah.
of July. We have good weather. We have good weather for the road
Yes,
races.
for the athletes, we love that weather this morning. It's a 10K, and it's as my colleague said, they will look forward to run, and they start in Monush, come and Pat. See they so they will look and go up to Tantin, runs about, and back down. So it will be a flying route, yeah.
Yeah,
It will be a flying route.
with
It's a
that kind of
10K,
weather.
but as I said, it will be a speed 10K because I do
Uh,
that weekend mornings,
really, Kerlon? Yeah,
Oh, I must say walking. I do not walking
yeah. Well,
weekend morning.
say the walk, right? Not the run. But while Mr. Leslie was speaking, there was a comment that came in there from Mr. Isuddin. Good morning, guys. I'm a wheelchair athlete. I would love to take part in this 10K. Hopefully, next time. Well, certainly with so much evolving, as I said,
Yes, yes.
because there is now the elite, there is the open, there is the youth aspect of it. I'm certain that something that
He could take part. He could take part because remember we having the local 10K
okay.
for our local athletes in Grenada, and we
Mhm,
also having the 1.7K. That's Tulip Wrong Kaman to Monush.
right.
So he could take part in that aspect of it. The races are designed to get all our athletes to showcase on that platform
Mhm,
and to be a part of that CARICOM race,
mhm,
10K, and we have been working with the association and other stakeholders to make sure that we get the information out. We'll do some more, press, highlight this week, next
mhm,
week. We also providing transportation for local athletes. Two buses, one coming down, going on the western side. They both leave. They leave at 6 o'clock in the morning. One from the market in Grenville.
mhm.
Both leave from Grenville. One go up Tivoli, Hermitage, and
So
back.
what time is the schedule start for
The
the
schedule start is 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll start
8
at 8,
o'clock in the
8
morning?
a.m. Yeah,
Okay,
with the
right.
first race. Yeah, and yeah, and we
Colin,
will. Yes.
while you were speaking on that too, and Mr. Leslie was developing that theme while you were coming on. It has to do with resuscitating road racing, not just in Grenada but in the
Okay.
Caribbean as well. So that aspect is important. Tell me, in terms of probably even from the Ministry of Sports point of view, who is assisting the CARICOM Secretariat with that, how important is this road racing in terms of resuscitating or reviving road racing in Grenada? Probably 10, 15 years ago, road racing
Yeah.
was very big with the marathon, the 15K, 10K, whatever it is. And a
Yeah.
lot of people used to be part of that. How
But
important you see is
it's very
this?
important. It's important to our athletic development in the set because the road race you could look at it as it's an endurance event. And most time you will start your cycle if you is a developer marathon runner, marathon runner, you need the distance. But our ordinary runners, they will need that endurance beast at the beginning of the cycle.
Mhm,
What we have been doing in the ministry, this year we have changed to the time of our annual cross countries to feed that the preparation period, the general preparation period. So it moved to September, October instead of December, November, December, where the artists will be in a more pre-competition mood. So we're trying to accommodate that, and also we have the half marathon put on by the Athletics Association. So it's very important. I've seen some communities also have started, union community have started back on the local community races. And I say it's important for the development of all athletes to get that endurance base, and also for the persons that want to go on through the half marathon and other 10K and 5K. So the CARICOM knowing that the CARICOM 10K is there, with incentives for both the international category or the regional category, I think that will help rejuvenate some of the races here, because the period of it what is important, and to get more of the athletes into, even the footballers, all the players, to start getting into that endurance base. So it's important. What the CARICOM 10K have done to, I can remember sending Kenisha Pascal to some
Yeah.
of the races, because and I must say, because the athletics association in each country is the one to nominate the athlete to represent the country to participate in the CARICOM 10K. So you have to be the one, the most outstanding one in the 10. So it's help. We may look at it for next year or the next 2 years, and we could develop an event prior to the CARICOM 10K so that we can use it to select our two best, male and female, to represent our country. So it's something once we know it's on, and it's full back in every time the meeting is held, then I think it's something we could strategize, put an event on the calendar to accommodate our athletes to get the opportunity to run a 10K prior to that event. The
Yeah.
prize
Well,
monies are very important there too. I must say that, because they are running for 1,000 US, 800 US, 600 US in both categories, male and female. So there are hefty prize monies to be won. Our local event also take up some prize monies. The under 14 with the 1.5 kilo. Okay, they will also get some trophies, and everybody will get trophies. So it's an excited part to finish that 3 days of meeting, to have the heads of government here in Grenada. And we have seen all the infrastructure work is also going on to accommodate that. We see the rungs about, down by my end in Chublu is being developed and will be, maybe launched or something that we've seen some other facilities being done. So next week we may also see some a driver on the side to see what we could do and what area maybe need a little patching up or something. But we are prepared to host and to accommodate our visitors in a wonderful way where we are accustomed. On the rest day, we have a plan to accommodate them with some more long, some big sunflower fish, a mini expo, some Grenada calypso music, so they will want to come back for the carnival. So
yeah.
we are preparing to welcome them with open arms and make sure they have the couple of days that they are here, that they have some fun,
Yeah, that's interesting. Probably one of the something Mr. Uh, Leslie can probably consider in the future for the CARICOM road races. Have a segment for the leaders to participate. Let them run. Let them run.
Yes, 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 yes. Or they could join the one lap Roman Rouge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let them have some fun.
Yeah, we have, yeah, no. We certainly have no objection to that at all. Uh, yeah, but I really want to agree with Kerlon though that the idea of road racing is really not just for athletes who are committed road racers, who are professional road racers. You really want to see a road race, see a marathon or a half marathon as an opportunity for any athlete involved in any sport, whether it is football or cricket, or even in track and field, in perhaps other events. A road race gives you a chance to build your endurance. It's something that you can use as a supplement to all of the other training activities that you're doing. So it's an important activity, and I can commit to Kerlon and to the other directors of sports across the region that this is an activity that is a part of the schedule for CARICOM. And if within the member states there is an attempt, deliberate attempt, to develop the athletic association so that each year you are able to submit your best athletes for the road race, then this will always be a forum that they will have access to. So indeed, we are absolutely thrilled to be partnering with the member states. This year, Grenada has been fabulous in the way that they have taken ownership of the race. They have made it theirs, and they are very excited to showcase Grenada, the culture of Grenada, the people of Grenada, and the country Grenada, um, for the road race. So we are very excited to be in Grenada next weekend for this activity, and really want to say a big shout out to the Ministry of Sports, the Permanent Secretary in Sports, Mr. Peters himself, who has been working around the clock tirelessly to get the races organized and to not just organize the races on the day itself, but to put in place all the logistics to ensure that athletes are accommodated, to make sure that once the race finishes, we will transition into a cultural event, and all of that. And we are particularly excited about the ownership that Grenada has shown for these races, and really want to shout out all the people on the Grenada side who have been leading in this activity and have been contributing to the success of the races.
Mhm. Okay. Rudy, and just before I bring you on, and then we also take some comments. I know Mr. Peters has another assignment to attend to, so I just want to give him an opportunity to say some few words before you leave, Mr. Peters.
Hey, thank you, sir. Sorry about it, but I really have to leave. What I could say, we are still taking in entries. So far today, we have in the local, in the international, we have at least 6 countries that register. I know we'll work on getting the other countries to register. If they have any problem with the accommodation suggested, they could contact us so that we can assist. I spoke to assist Dominica yesterday with getting additional accommodation. The race, I'd say, build CARICOM community and will help foster our growth through sports. I know we look forward to before we had the CARICOM sports desk and had meetings of CARICOM directors. We could share and learn. I think that is the way we have to go to develop all of our sports. But it's a wonderful start with the 10K. On the day, we'll have a mini expo where we'll display our art and craft. We'll have some vendors with some local paintings and other activities, some drinks and everything, so we could stick around. So we'll start at 8 a.m. in Montrouge. Command Park will set up. We are bringing a professional in the name of Jason Goodins. He's managed races like that. He done triathlon, and he have the professional settings to meet manager settings to do that race. So he's part of our team to make sure that that level of professionalism is achieved. We are working closely with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and all the other ministry to make sure that the race is a success. For the local runners, the ads will be out again. We'll continue to call the clubs. Transportation will be provided. You give me a call on the Ministry of Sports. We go on the site and you can register. The registration is open. And we're looking forward to not only listening to our Prime Minister in the speech on the 3 days, but also to see him present at the 10K. It would be nice to see they make a couple of one lap on Montrouge, but it'll be all fun and activity after the 3 days of meeting. Looking forward this Saturday morning to come out and see the athletes compete, in a friendly manner to achieve. It will be a wonderful affair. So thank you again for having me, Bascom. I know we'll continue talking and we'll see how we could promote the events more in the region.
Okay, then. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Peters, and thank you. Right. Let me get something on the Good morning, all. Sorry to be late. It was out purchasing corned beef and Craig's tropical storm. Yes, we do know about the tropical storm. Good morning, Roger. The Eastern Caribbean being affected with a tropical storm this weekend. To you, Mr. Leslie, I'm doing road races for the past 7 years in my country, Guyana, but I never got an opportunity to take part in any CARICOM events. I always took part in Kilo Walk Here. Hopefully, I can take part in future CARICOM 10K. So that is something that is being suggested. That's the one who spoke about the wheelchair athlete earlier, and it's actually from Guyana. So I'm hoping it's something that you can look forward to in terms of future coordinating, having the wheelchair participants, because I know there's a lot of emphasis now on para athletes, para Olympics, para athletics, these sort of things. So certainly it's something that you can look at it considering.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a few changes that we may be making to the races over time. And one of them that we absolutely are looking at is how do we make more of a deliberate attempt to include athletes with some who are living with some kind of disabilities. And so making sure that wheelchair athletes, for example, are able to participate. At the moment, there is admittedly nothing preventing them from participating, but we can also acknowledge that we have not put in place provisions to make sure that we are looking out for them and providing them with the ease to engage in the race. So even selecting the route, making sure that there is provision made for them to engage and to participate in the race, those things we will have to do. And so, to the person who made the comment in the chat, and Guyanese incidentally, and I'm also in Guyana, is it's something that we can commit to to including next year. And if you reach out to me, if you reach out to me in the chat, perhaps with a way to contact you, we can keep the dialogue going to make sure that come next year you are not excluded, and that we can perhaps have some consultation with you as to the kinds of provisions that you will need and other athletes who might also be in wheelchair and would want to participate, what kind of provisions would they need to make sure that they can participate. So if you're still online and still listening, I wouldn't mind connecting with you after this meeting. So if you can share some way to engage with you, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, very very important because we know even internationally, once there is a half marathon, a marathon, whatever distance recent, there's always a segment for the wheelchairs in it. So I
Right.
think that's a new focus now, and I think it's a trend that you folks may want to look at. Rudian.
No, certainly, Mr. Leslie, certainly, and most of the questions I had, you really answered them already. But certainly was the pair. Just because the young man came on and he asked the question, but you did really truly answer the question. So, did have a question from Mr. Simmons, Mr. Peters, but I will give him a call and talk to him about that. But certainly, um, that event is something that it's big. Um, certainly, I know it's a one-time event. Seems like you guys have a year. You guys have any ideas in only thought of doing more than one event a year, or is it just the one time surrounding CARICOM only?
Well, it's we have it once per year. Um, we have not thought about expanding it and perhaps widening it on the calendar, but that's something to look at. One of the things that I can say here without saying too much is that we have been having discussions internally, very preliminary discussions internally about how do we make some changes to the road races so that we can ensure greater engagement, greater participation each year, and that there is the public gets to participate more, not just the elite athletes, but that the public itself get to participate more. So one of the things to perhaps consider is how do we add more races to the calendar each year
Yeah.
so that even as we talk about promoting road races, and it's very important the point you were making earlier, Michael, the idea of diversifying the events that
Hmm.
we traditionally participate in the Caribbean. We have, I'm from Jamaica, I am Jamaican. Last night we just had our national trials incidentally to for athletes who are looking to participate in the Olympic in Paris in a few weeks. And as you would imagine, the entire focus in Jamaica now, and well, last night certainly, were on the sprinters and which sprinters are doing really well. And it's the 100-meter and the 200-meter events that dominate. And those are the athletes who, by and large, those names we remember. But middle distance to long distance running, you guys have done so well with Kiran. And when I say you guys, I mean Grenada have done so well to have produced a world-class athlete like Kirani over a 400-meter event. And so that middle distance to long distance running, there's no reason, for example, why the Caribbean doesn't do better at long distance running. We have great conditions for it. We certainly have the facilities for it. Many of our Caribbean countries have great open spaces for this kind of practicing and training. There's no reason why we aren't doing better, except that we perhaps need to shift our culture just a little so that we now begin to prioritize, we now begin to celebrate these athletes who participate in distance running a little bit more than we now do. So that the premier events, as much as they will remain, I suppose, the 100-meter and the 200-meter events, there's no reason why we need to shift the focus from those. But we certainly must also begin to look at how do we promote other events so that we have a variety of athletes within the Caribbean moving out into the competitive spaces. And so it's very important that we diversify. And as a part of diversification, one of the things that the Secretariat can perhaps indeed do, Michael, as you were suggesting just now, is, or was that perhaps even, how do we add more of these events to the racing calendar each year so that athletes who are interested know that within the Caribbean space, there are opportunities for them to participate competitively with other athletes who are training at their level in races over this distance.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's something we will look at indeed.
Um, while you were speaking, I was thinking about about the Jamaica trials in particular, and I noticed that when sprinting, all the hype, for example, yesterday was on the
Mhm.
men's 100 and women's 100 meters, and there's so much knowledge by the commentators when it comes to the 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 Jamaica's history of sprinting. But when it
Mhm.
comes to the middle distance, as you say, whether it's a 400 or the 15, there is a lack of that sort of knowledge, which is, sort of important. And also to that, the Caribbean is nothing far from, let's say, Africa, which have produced so many world-class long-distance runners. Outside of Africa, an African elite athlete will tell you the Caribbean is the next best place for them to train for middle and long-distance running because of what you just explained there. I mean, the conditions, there's not much in terms of development in those urban areas and things. A lot of the countryside
Right.
area where you can run and compete or train uninterrupted, these sort of things. And yet fall, we have not developed. So Kamar Thomas is saying this event is very important to the development of distance running in the Caribbean, but I think the athletic association around the region do not show much interest of getting the athletes there. They only focus on sprinting. And there lies the problem, as even Colin was saying. Very important event. Even members of the public, well, Hammer Thomas seems to be an athlete himself because his profile is showing that he's running, you know. Um, yeah, but it seems like even the athletes themselves have an interest, and as Kamar is saying, is a very important for the development of distance running. So they are welcoming CARICOM's initiative, okay? But as you say, CARICOM can't just say, hey, you athlete, you're athlete. You have to work with the respective countries, and the respective countries obviously work with their national associations, and probably that is slow coming. But of course, it was probably some, you know, um, sprinting fest, they will nominate, hundreds of athletes.
I would really don't want to make it look, and I hope I've not been doing that so far, to make it look like one event needs to compete with the other.
Certainly not.
That
I don't think you
that
are.
one event should cannibalize the other. We really don't want it to look like
No.
we are saying that we should stop sprinting or do
No, no,
less,
no. I think what you did,
because
you're stating the facts.
yes,
What is the reality now? But with the hope
indeed,
that they can, with the hope that there can be some sort of interest shown just in terms of sprinting in the other events as well. But as
right,
you're saying, CARICOM is showing an interest in terms of developing other aspects of track and field, and I think
right.
that initiative in terms of road racing is very welcome, it appears. And certainly you may have other, ideas, but that aspect of road racing seems to be very welcome. And I think CARICOM should take a bow for that. Hmm.
If I could share just very, very briefly,
Hmm.
an additional perspective to go further with the discussion. Um, perhaps one of the most technical races that you might see, one of the most technical events is perhaps a 4x100 relay because of the all of the rules regarding baton
Not a,
changes, the
yeah.
zones that you have to be in, and so on. It's so easy for even professional athletes not to be able to complete that lap around because somewhere a baton might be dropped or an athlete, they change a baton outside of the zone, that kind of thing.
Even if you have the
Um,
best, even if you have the best sprinters, that could happen. Eh?
Even if you have, as a matter of fact, sometimes when you have the best
The
sprinters
best,
is when it happens. Because the
yes.
best sprinters are so accustomed to running very fast and running through a line that they're not very good at changing. So the point I'm making is, as technical as that event is, we begin the relay from certainly from my experience, we begin running relays as early as primary schools. There are 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds in Jamaica who are running relays. And if we can begin promoting such a technical event so early
Mhm.
in the development of our young people, there's absolutely no reason why we also can also promote distance running, which is far less technical than say a relay or say even hurdles. And even 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds in Jamaica are running a 100-meter hurdle event. There's no reason why we can't also promote distance running, but it's about shifting culture. You said it. We have great conditions.
Mhm.
We have just about the right mix of flat and mountainous terrain
Months.
to
Right.
build that endurance. We have we also have a great climate for it, and therefore we certainly should be doing more distance running than we now do.
And I also like the idea where every year you have the well, and certainly this one is taking on a little more, interest and purpose because, as I indicated, Grenada's 50th year of independence, CARICOM wrapping up 50 years of 50th anniversary, all of that, and you have the elite and the open and the youth and all these sort of things. So it's sort of evolving than how it used to be before, where you just have, just an open event and the athletes, the countries will send their contingent, whatever it is like that. So now you having that, and certainly probably for the next year you may have some other ideas and some new initiatives and all of that. Prize money seem to be attractive as well. All of that. How you think in going forward, using the CARICOM Road Races as a sort of foundation that CARICOM as a whole, and I hope you're not speaking out of turn in terms of your portfolio, but using sports as a vehicle for so many of the problems we are faced with, societal problems in particular we are faced with in the Caribbean, using sports, shifting the focus on sports to an extent, when how we can probably even get our leaders saying something about sports at when they meet, in forums like the summit in Grenada, not just cricket, but we're talking about sports overall.
Yeah, yeah, and indeed, not just cricket, and incidentally today, and I must say, it took a while for me to commit to this interview because I knew be in this interview in the middle of the finals of the T20 World Cup, and it's so and I'm saying that to make the point that cricket is near and dear to us in the Caribbean. So is track and field. More and more sports are also coming on. I've seen greater interest in swimming in recent times and greater representation in swimming. Um, at that community level, there are some sports that are very easy to get into. Football is very easy to get into. You have a ball, you can improvise, you can start playing football. Cricket is easy to get into, even though when you get to that professional level, the gears get a little expensive, the facilities get a little expensive. But you can improvise at that community level in your backyard with your friends and you start playing cricket. Um, Swimming is easy to get into because we are blessed with so much water around us. The point I'm making is that across the Caribbean, sports is something that we are blessed to be able to play sports in our backyard. In many countries, they have to go to community centers, they have to go to formalized gyms that have been built for sporting facility. They have to schedule this for young kids to play sports. Now, that's something that I don't think we even fully appreciate in the Caribbean, how easy it is for us to just walk outside and start playing a sport because of how our communities have been built and the culture that has evolved over time. Now, the wider point that I'm connecting that to is one of the best ways to reach our young people, one of the best ways to engage them, one of the best ways to divert them as well from some of the bad choices that they're likely to make is to use sports to reach them. Because of how community-based sports has always been in the Caribbean. Clearly, there's a need to professionalize sports in the Caribbean to a greater extent. There's a need to ensure that the way that we talk about other social services and other sectors within the social space, such as health and education and crime and security, that we talk about sports in those ways, that we allocate resources to sports, that we put some of our best human resources into sports, that we make sure that we are planning for sports and we are deliberately incorporating sports into our national development so we can drive the region forward. The challenge we have had, to be honest, is that we have not done as much of that as we need to. But I really want to commend the governments across the Caribbean who, despite limited resources and despite competing needs, they have remained committed to the development of athletes and of different sporting associations and sporting activities across the Caribbean. And so, quite a few of our young people have progressed financially. They have achieved significant success. They have performed on the world stage. They have outclassed their competitors from other countries like America, European countries, countries who are able to devote far more resources to sports than we have. We have governments across the Caribbean who, despite the challenges that they have had with a shrinking budget and the challenges of financing their expenditure, have still found creative ways to partner with private sector bodies to ensure that sporting activities remain of some importance, of significance, and that our young people are still able to access sports and to align their interests and their needs to different sporting activities. So as much as we would love to see more, and I believe there is a role for greater public-private partnership to move sports forward, I really do believe that we have done well to make sure that there is a process. We're starting from school right through up to our clubs and societies at that semi-professional stage as athletes transition into that professional space. There is a system in place, a pipeline that ensures that we are able to keep the associations, the clubs, and the different sporting activities going.
Mhm. Yeah. Rudian?
Certainly a lot right there, and it's certainly really good in what you're saying. But every island or every country is not the same. Certainly, some island sports is some government sport is not the primary aim. And I always believe, and we spoke about this many times on this program, that sports is the way. Sports build nations, and we're seeing it across Europe right now with World Cup, and we see it with the Euro Cup. MSA, you see it with cricket right now. We see in the Copa America way. These countries, the people follow them, and some of them worship them, and it builds that that community base foot that you talk about. You go into Spain, everywhere there is a soccer field, and people playing soccer up to 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And you see that in a lot of other countries, and some islands in the Caribbean don't have that. Certainly, and I honestly think that the clubs is very important. In school is very important, and they have to really put the kids are in school for what, 8 months of the year, and you constantly pushing them, constantly playing sports in school. What happened after? What happened in that 3 months when they're off school? If there is no clubs, and if the governments in those countries don't push for that, then you have them lingering. You have them going straight. So it has to be a roundabout. It has to be a 12 months plan where sports is constantly playing. Sports is constantly being done. When we're growing up, I used to be when it's cricket season, everybody playing cricket. Basketball, everybody playing basketball. And so it's like that. It's no longer like that. You have soccer complete every time, basketball can play anytime. Now track and field can run any time of the year because kids are constantly being involved in competing. You're going back when I talk about the road race, talking about, it's also important to have more events. You know, um, Out of sight, out of mind, and that's what happening in the Caribbean with distance running from the 800 up. Out of sight, out of mind. Everything is focused on sprinting. Everybody want to be a sprinter. Every young girl want to be Shelley and Fraser. Every young man want to be Usain Bolt. Every young man want to run like Kirani James. So, and that's all there's promoting to them. So it's time for them to expand track and field. Tell them that's not all there is. There is field events, and there's the 800, there's the 1500, there's 3000, there's steeplechase. There's a lot of things that we have to now expose to them on. And if they're not exposed to it, then it's just lingering, and everybody want to be a sprinter. So we always become that aspect that we are losing out the opportunity. And sometimes we always say the weather. Yes, we have the weather, and it's good. We have the training facility. We have the beach that the kids can run on and they can train on. All these things in them, we have it. But who is driving it? Who is pushing it? Who is letting them know there is other events? There is out here in high school. One of the things that we really push for, most of our high school meets, regular meets, don't have pole vault. So kids don't know about pole vault. So they come to a championship or they come to the high school championship and they sing pole vault and they're like, okay, what is this? So one of the things we want to drive is having those sports, because a kid will be in the stand and say, oh, I want to try this. And sometimes that's how it is. You see it with soccer. The kids watching on TV at home. Oh, let me go try that move. Oh, wow, Messi did this. Let me go and try and do it. They get a soccer ball, they go on the field and they try to do this too, right? And another thing too is having fields available. That's one of the issues here in Canada. As big as Canada is, we don't have that access as we want to. And when like me telling you this is like, wow, you really? They don't have that access. They build a beautiful stadium with a soccer field and a track, but there's a big 10-foot fence around it. People don't have access to it. And it's also something that's happening, as I was told, speaking with someone a few days ago, it's happening in the Caribbean. The kids don't have access to some of the fields. So we have to also make that in some small community areas, that may have a school or have something around them where they can go and run around and play, as we used to do as kids. So when we don't have these things out, like I said, out of sight, out of mind, we have to be able to push a lot of these other sports in and then get things going.
It's like what Patricia is saying, more like physical education, giving them the access. Yeah. Okay. And then Jean Phil Sherry saying, I'm having more interest in what is happening in the Caribbean region. Keep working on developing community, sharing resources, and promoting talents. That point came in when Mr. Leslie was speaking about the focus of CARICOM in terms of harnessing and understanding. And I think it's not just the authorities, but the public must also understand, and even down to the parents and things will have to understand that. And we have to take some blame for that, because I think we have not been sharing the gospel, as Mr. Leslie was saying, that how we have had so many outstanding sportsmen and sportswomen who have, through youth sports as a career, for example, and have done well. Some folks believe, to some extent, that the sports is just about all the the fame and glory, but not understanding that sports, especially in the Caribbean, professional sports in the Caribbean, folks they make a lot of money. They manage it properly and use it as a career. We have seen, for example, some of the cricketers who playing in the IPL, for example, after probably one season in the IPL, 1 or 2 seasons in the IPL, they could say thank you, West Indies, because we don't understand, but there are others who know that it's a career and they're making lots of money. So how
and suddenly it's something that has to be pushed. I watched the NBA draft, and the first 10 is over $400 million that they're getting paid.
Yeah, so
and so it's there, and the authorities and parents and in school are to also push that a lot, to letting them know that opportunities like soccer, if you're serious, you gotta love it. I had an athlete who came to me and said, "Oh, I forgot my spikes today. Come to practice, I forgot my spikes." And I said, "Do you really love the sport?" "I love it. It's my everything." I said, "Then you always have to have a spikes with you." A basketball player always have the basketball shoes. So they're always ready to compete. A soccer player always have. You challenge somebody, they're ready to go. So they always have that with them, right? So it just makes a big difference. Yeah.
The focus, and I think that is what Mr. Leslie was trying to indicate in terms of understanding, and it's not just. I think it's not just the government. Sometimes, yes, we say the governments and blah blah blah, but the government can put the facilities, they can put the resources, blah blah, but the people themselves have to appreciate it, have to understand, have to have that willingness, to use the facilities, to use the resources, make use of the resources and things like that. So because even at the college level now, where athletes are being paid, and in some instances retroactively. Hopefully, some of our Caribbean people might be able to benefit in that as well. But
you mentioned, Mr. Leslie, you mentioned last night watching the trials, and I was watching it as well. In the women 100, there's only 3 that get to run the 100 that get to run in the US trial in the Olympics. Only 3. How many of them was really there? Only 3. I've even watching from the US trial, there was like 20 something of them that make it to the quarterfinals. Only 3. How many make it in the 800? How many make it in the 1500? How many make it in the throws? How many make it in the jump? How many others? None.
Well, talking about the 800, and I was sort of concerned because I only saw 2 female athletes participate in the women's 800 meters. Yeah. Obviously, Goal is an accomplished Jamaican, 800 meters. So she was there, she won, and then there was another athlete. So certainly. You see, I think at one point in time, I remember a journalist said there were over 70 male athletes that registered for the men's 100 meters in the trials. Yeah. So we know when it comes to sprinting in Jamaica, you don't need as I always say, if you have an elite, program in Jamaica, you don't need, foreign sprinters. The 100, the 200, even the hurdles, right? When you look at it, and we have to give the Jamaicans credit for that. They put a lot of resources, they put a lot of interest in that. Okay, but we have to commend CARICOM on the other hand, for that interest they're showing in terms of harnessing and developing other aspects, as you say, of track and field, as we say, the long distance running, the 10K. We probably might have, and we know some islands, I know for Grenada, for example, every year they have the half marathon, another thing. And probably we might see more interest in terms of the distance running, like the half marathon and marathon, probably something CARICOM may want to, as part of the, the annual ritual, of these long distance running. It's something that they want to, hold, or organize in the islands, because every year you move to a different territory, which is good. Every year the CARICOM summit moves to a different territory. So you get the opportunity for coordinated in the various islands. Okay. And certainly something that you may look at in terms of expanding, whether it's just a 10K or have a half marathon, and then, just to develop and harness the long distance appetite in the Caribbean.
But certainly,
yeah,
as a level like this that you're doing, when you guys discuss, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of discussion you guys have in terms of more things you guys would like to do, but it also comes down to sponsorship. It certainly do come down to that, and if you don't have the sponsorship, certain events it's hard to put together. So that also is a challenge. I'm pretty sure. I know from on my side over here, it's always a challenge with sponsorship. So I'm pretty sure for you guys is also the same, and there's more you can do. But without the sponsorship, it's certainly a challenge to put it together. And having athletes coming from different countries just for a race, they have to come for something. And something meaningful. So you cannot just come for another race. So that certainly is a challenge.
Mhm. Yeah, indeed. And so as we are getting down to the end, I really want to encourage persons listening to go to the website. I have put it in the chat. I know you flashed it across the screen earlier, Michael. Thank you for that. To register for the race. We are still accepting persons to register for any event. As I said, there is an Elite 10K, and to register for the Elite 10K, you must be sponsored by your country. But if you want to participate in the 10K, that's perfectly fine. You can register for the Open 10K, and you don't need to be sponsored by your country for that. If you are in Grenada, we are encouraging you to go to the website and register. If you are even not in Grenada and still want to come for that, then absolutely go to the website and register for that Open 10K. If you are if you want to participate but you don't want to do a 10K, there's a 1.7K event that we are also offering, and we're asking though that you'll be 15 years or younger to participate in that event. So that's for our young people, and so we are encouraging you to go to the site and register for that as well. Come on down on the day of the race, even if you're not running, and have some fun with us. We will have a cultural activity going on, so we'd love to see you there and just to cheer the athletes on and to support them as they participate in the race. I am looking forward to being Grenada. I've never been there before, and I hear it's a lovely place. So I am absolutely thrilled about
yeah,
the 2 or 3 days that I will be in Grenada next weekend.
yeah. Certainly, you won't be disappointed. you
So
may, you
it
may,
is the most beautiful in the Caribbean, and just I'll let you know that by putting that out there for you.
yeah, he may want to host the road race in Grenada every year.
Every year after that, yeah.
Absolutely. No, no, I
Yeah,
tell you, the way that Grenada has taken this over, has made it theirs, the way that they have been throwing resources at it, making sure that the race is well planned and that all aspects of the race are taken care of. We would love to have Grenada host every single year, but a part of moving around is to
Yeah,
give every country's athletic association this opportunity for
yeah,
development as well. It's about making sure that we are using the race to promote the development of the different
of course.
associations.
Yeah.
So next year, I believe we may very likely be, well, let me not say it, but wherever the heads of government conference is being held next year, July, then that's where we will be. I see the number in the chat. Um, Thank you very much for that. I will reach out to you over the weekend there. That is for, I don't want to say
Oh
your name
yes,
wrong. Is it
I, I, so- I,
Samar?
isodine.
Isfordine, yes.
Yeah,
I'll
isodine.
reach out to you over the weekend to have that conversation.
Right. Yeah. So that's yeah. They put it information, my contact info for future plan and inclusion. Right. That's good. And as Patricia is saying, please come to Grenada and don't forget Carico. So yes, Patricia is from Carico. Carico is one of the sister isles. Carico. So the state is Grenada, Carico, and PD Martinique.
Pretty
Okay.
much.
So for those who, it would be nice when the leaders travel to Grenada for the conference. I know it's a busy conference, but certainly if they get the opportunity to visit the sister isles, it'd be nice, but it's so much a pleasure having you and speaking to you, Mr. Leslie, about that, the CARICOM Road Races, and all the insights into what's going along. And Kerlon came in from the Ministry of Sports, and certainly I know that Kerlon's involvement in sports for many years, and the Athletic Association's involvement as well in terms of executing those the whole logistics for these distance racing. And certainly we encouraging the public to come out and support, cheer on the athletes. It's a route that is very accessible, and certainly we're looking forward to that sort of support and a successful CARICOM Road Races. We have the elite, the open, and the youth. Right. Former Minister Patrick Simmons is saying, I understand the event is an athletics event, but at this level, we should be thinking physical activity and sports in Grenada. Certainly, Mr. Sports in general. Yeah. So that's why, as part of the enticement and encouragement of the participants, is for those who can be thinking about it also as physical activity. So that's why we're encouraging the various associations, especially those that are preparing for championships. We have the footballers, we have the cricketers, we have the netballers as well, who are also preparing. I know there was an activity some months ago similar to that. I think it was a 5K or a walk or something like that. And a lot of the association brought their folk in. So we're looking for them to participate in those activities, use it as a means of endurance building and all these sort of things. Certainly, Mr. Simmons, former sports minister, bringing his insights as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Leslie, and all the best. And we wish you a pleasant weekend. Happy viewing for your cricket final. Who are you on in South Africa?
Man, I'm carrying India, but it looks a little dicey right now for them.
I know. Yes. 5 wickets down already, and almost.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. South Africa had them. They had. They were going good. Probably the first.
Oh yeah,
South
Africa's done well to kind of hold them back.
Yeah, South Africa sort of restricted them. Certainly. Thank you very much, Mr. Leslie, and hopefully we'll speak another time.
All right, indeed. I'm available. Let me know. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay then, righto. Okay then. So, folks, you heard it there from Mr. Davion Leslie from the CARICOM Secretariat, Human Resource Manager there, and certainly looking forward to the CARICOM Road Races coming up next weekend in Grenada, July 6th. Rudian, certainly was a pleasure, and I'm seeing here now that at 11 a.m. Grenada, Carriacou, and PD Martin was placed under hurricane watch. Yeah. So yes, Beryl is churning up in the Eastern Caribbean, and I know Barbados was already placed on a hurricane watch earlier. Now Grenada and its dependency placed on a hurricane watch. Hurricane watch means that hurricane conditions are possible within 48 hours over Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martin, and they're asking update your family disaster plan, have a disaster supplies kit. Trim overhanging trees and branches, clear guttering and drains, know where the nearest emergency shelters are located. Yeah. So hopefully the cricket is not affected, because
it's not affected. Yeah.
Expecting some deterioration of the conditions later on in the day, but it's 20 over, so we hope that should be completed by then. But Rudian, just
no, certainly the conversation was good, and certainly concern thinking of not only on the sprints, other events, and I think it is time for us to start. Yeah, it's time for us to start pushing other events.
To be honest, all along, you got the impression that the CARICOM Road Race, because I know, for example, Kenisha, the name Kenisha Pascal was mentioned, and you saw
yes.
Radix. They used to Grenada, yeah, and things like that. So for Grenada, for example, and then I remember the girl from St. Vincent and things. But now we're seeing that emphasis now on they have the elite, they have the open, they have the youth, and it seems as if over a period of time things will evolve, and the suggestions will evolve. Yeah, I'm certain that road racing can take on new dimensions, and CARICOM seems to be pushing it from their end. I'm hoping that the member territories will buy into it, as well as the federations, because it's important for the federations to be involved.
The federation is still involved.
They have to nominate, So
Yeah.
as much as CARICOM can have it on their calendar every year, the federations as well, they have to buy into that. Yeah.
Yep.
So I want to thank you, Rudian, and thank you
It's
all.
always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
I look forward to
So
hopefully next
there
weekend.
there is a new name that's coming out in sprinting in Jamaica in the mail. It's not Usain Bolt, but there is some excitement. Some excitement.
Yeah.
So certainly, I may say the closet is replenishing. It was getting empty. It was empty, and now it's replenishing. Certainly look good. I was very pleased with the twin sister. I don't know which one of them. I don't know if it was Tina or the Clayton sisters. I don't know which one it was.
The one that finished second.
Second, yeah. And I was very pleased, and I think we are looking at the exit of Miss Rocket. And I think she's about to exit. It will be her last Olympic Games, I believe, and maybe her last event in sports, probably.
Certainly at 37 going on 38. Yeah,
and I think it will be her last. Certainly, but there is new blood coming, and this young lady is very scary. Certainly, very, very scary. So so it's gonna be interesting. Certainly, it's gonna be interesting. But like I said, the sport is good. Everything is going good. It looks good. Miss Jackson, boy, she looks good.
All I would say is that we're not throwing anything now. That it should be a good athletic competition at the Olympics, right? It should be a good one if all the athletes remain healthy, right?
Healthy.
What we've seen coming out of their various championships.
It
should be a good one.
Yeah. And, certainly.
I'm still in the sprinting. It's all open still. I'm not saying USA will dominate or Jamaica will dominate or whatever it is.
But I think it's a Caribbean race. Still, in my opinion, I think it's going to be a Caribbean.
We still have to look at the Africans.
Yeah,
still have to look at the Africans in the mix. Still have to look at the Africans.
Yeah, I think of Kalu and Dinasha Smith and those. Yeah,
but it should be a good outing for NACAC, the NACAC region, right? Whether it's
certainly.
Whether it's USA, Jamaica,
USA or the Caribbean, NACAC region itself, from all the way up from the hurdles go down, all the hurdle races, and certainly it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good event. I know the track looked beautiful, so everybody's looking forward to Paris. But certainly, it's been good.
All right then. Okay then, thanks.
All right, it's a pleasure as always. We'll chat and we'll again have a blessed day.
All right, same to you. Thank you very much, folks. That's all for this weekend in Talk Sports. Hopefully, you join us next week, God's willing, for another program. I'll keep you informed.